Okay, ready for this. Today's deep dive, it's a wild ride from like the heart of Rio's carnival straight into some serious cancer research.
Yeah, we're talking CAR T cell therapy.
Yeah.
Incredible potential there, but the cost. It's a huge barrier for so many people, especially globally.
Right, and that's where things get really interesting. The researchers at CHOP Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, they're tackling this problem head on, starting with this really cool partnership in Brazil.
It's a great example of how sometimes, like, the best solutions, you got to think outside the box, right? Connect those dots that you wouldn't expect.
Totally. So before we get into the whole samba and science connection, let's make sure everyone's on the same page about CAR T. What we're talking about here is taking a patient's own immune cells, giving them a serious upgrade, like turning them into these superpowered cancer fighters, and then putting them back in the body to do their thing.
Yeah, it's like giving your immune system an upgrade. It's like something straight out of sci-fi. And for certain childhood cancers, we've seen some really impressive results. The thing is, though, this level of personalized medicine, it's pricey.
Yeah, no kidding. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes even more. So it's incredible, this technology. Life-saving, but the cost. It's a dilemma when we're trying to make it available for everyone who needs it, right?
Absolutely. And that's really the core issue here. The way we make CAR T cells right now, it's so complex, so individualized. Yeah. It's like building a whole high-tech lab for every single patient. It's just not sustainable if we want to take this treatment global.
So how do you even start to address that? I mean, we're talking cutting-edge medical technology. You can't just cut corners, right?
No, you can't cut corners. Of course not. Well, what you can do is find ways to innovate the process itself. And that's what's so cool about what CHOP is doing in Brazil. They're finding ways to make that manufacturing process more efficient, more adaptable, and ultimately more affordable for everyone.
This Brazil project is fascinating. So Dr. Kadauke goes to Rio for Carnival and somehow ends up sparking this whole collaboration. It's wild.
Right. It's like something you'd see in a movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it all started with that trip. He saw this opportunity to partner with INCA, that's Brazil's National Cancer Institute.
Yeah.
They have the expertise, but like a lot of countries, they struggle with the cost of these really advanced therapies.
So it was a strategic partnership from the get-go.
Absolutely. Strategic CHP. They've been like pioneers in the CAR T world. I mean, they treated the first pediatric patient, Emily Whitehead, back in 2012. So they've learned so much about how to make this treatment work. And now they're sharing that knowledge.
That's incredible. But even with shared knowledge, how do you overcome that cost barrier we talked about? That's still a huge hurdle.
That's where the really cool tech comes in. Remember we were talking about streamlining the manufacturing process? Well, they're doing that with this thing called the Prodigy machine.
Okay, Prodigy machine. Now, that definitely sounds like we're stepping into the future.
It does sound futuristic, but I promise you this is real deal cutting edge stuff. The Prodigy machine. It automates a lot of those manual steps involved in making CAR T cells.
Yeah.
And get this, they're actually repurposing spaces originally designed for cord blood banking to house these machines.
Wait, really? Repurposing rooms for cord blood? That's amazing. Talk about two birds, one stone. So how does that help with the cost, though?
Efficiency and risk reduction. The Prodigy machine, it uses this closed system, so less risk of contamination. You don't need those super expensive, super sterile clean rooms that traditional CAR T manufacturing needs. Huge cost saver right there.
That makes sense. So it's not just making the treatment itself cheaper, but the whole manufacturing process is more accessible. You don't need these specialized facilities.
You got it. And that's a game changer, especially when we talk about global health. Not every country can build these high-tech facilities. But with this Prodigy machine and this adapted model, they might not have to.
So they're really creating a blueprint here for other countries to follow, to bring CAR T to the world in a way that's actually doable.
Exactly. And this isn't just a feel-good story. This has the potential to change how we think about these advanced therapies. It's about creating a model that's effective, but also sustainable, adaptable to different places and different situations.
It's like taking this incredibly complex treatment and making it more like a ready-to-assemble piece of furniture. You still need some expertise to put it together, but you don't have to build it from scratch.
I love that analogy. And speaking of expertise, a big part of this partnership is the knowledge transfer from CHP to that INCA team. They're not just dropping off a machine. They're teaching local scientists and clinicians to master this new technology. That's huge for long-term success.
This is incredible. So they're tackling the cost, the accessibility, but is this a one-time thing? Or can this model actually be replicated in other countries? in other settings. So this whole Brazil project has been amazing so far. But is this a one-time thing, or can this model actually be replicated in other countries, in other settings?
That's what's so exciting about this, I think.
Yeah.
Everything about it just screams scalability.
Yeah.
You know, the Prodigy machine, the focus on infrastructure that can be adapted, the knowledge transfer. It's like they're creating a blueprint.
So instead of needing to build these high-tech CAR-T facilities from scratch, countries could adapt this more streamlined model.
Exactly. And it's not just about the money either, although that's huge. Think about the expertise involved. By training local teams using technology that's easier to maintain, you're building sustainable healthcare infrastructure. Think about the impact, not just in big cities, but in areas with fewer resources.
It's like they're democratizing access to this cutting-edge treatment. It's a powerful idea. It also makes you wonder if this technology can be so impactful for cancer. Could it work for other diseases too?
Oh, absolutely. That's something the article touched on. They specifically mentioned sickle cell disease. Millions of people are affected by that, especially in developing nations. And the current gene therapies for sickle cell, they're promising, but so expensive.
So using this adaptable model, this Prodigy machine technology, you could potentially make those sickle cell treatments way more accessible.
You got it. And that's just one example. Imagine the possibilities. If this approach could be used for other genetic diseases, autoimmune disorders, maybe even infectious diseases, it could change everything for global health.
It's really incredible when you think about the ripple effect that this one initiative could have. I mean, we started with a chance encounter in Rio, and now we're talking about revolutionizing treatments for all kinds of diseases around the world.
It shows you how important it is to keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible, both with science and with collaboration. That's what makes this story so inspiring, for me at least. It's not just the technology, it's the human element too, the ingenuity and the partnerships that can create real change.
Absolutely. This CHOP initiative is a real beacon of hope. It shows what's possible when people come together to make healthcare more equitable. It's definitely something we'll be following closely.
Definitely one to watch. And for everyone listening, here's something to think about. If this model for accessible cutting-edge treatment keeps spreading, how could it change the future of healthcare as we know it?